Welcome to another episode of Chax Chat. Join Chad Chilius and me, Dax Castro, where each week we wax poetic about document accessibility topics, tips, and the struggle of remediation and compliance. So sit back, grab your favorite mug of whatever, and let's get started.
Welcome, everyone. Today's podcast is sponsored by Venngage. Venngage is a design platform, and it just isn't about creating stunning visuals, but it's also about inclusivity and accessibility. Venngage doesn't just simplify your design process, it takes it a notch higher with built-in accessibility features. Whether you're looking to run an accessibility check on your designs or export them in the PDF UA format, Venngage has got you covered. So head on over to Venngage.com, that's VENNGAGE.com, and check them out. My name is Chad Chilius. I'm an Adobe certified instructor as well as director of training solutions and principal at Chax Training and Consulting.
And my name is Dax Castro. I am director of media productions here at Chax Training Consulting. And Chad and I are both certified as accessible document specialists by the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. And if you want your certification, head on over to accessibilityassociation.org/certifications for more info. How you doing, Chad?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing great.
We've had a busy week.
We've had
a busy week, man. You and I have been just like back-to-back trainings and, meetings. And I'll tell you what, I'm ready to lay down and relax a little bit.
Well, we have our training calendar is 50% full. Like every other day we have a training going this month, and it's only getting more. So those of you out there, if you're looking for training, we're out into October now. So if you want to get your teams trained, reach out to us. We'll set you up for a date, but it's not going to be before October, November. Interesting. Today's sponsor, Venngage, right? Venngage is a cool tool it's actually, although they've sponsored the podcast, it's one that I found as a tool, as an alternate to dare I say to Canva, because it's got all these tools built into it, which is really cool for accessibility. So,
I was really kind of blown away. Like when you sent me that link and I logged in, I created an account. And I was going through it and I was really blown away. Like the accessibility thought that they put into it, it wasn't just an afterthought. And that's what I really loved about it. Like it's almost like they built the product with the intent of being able to make accessible PDFs out of this platform. Is really, really cool.
Yeah, I really liked it because not only do they, have an interface that's super easy to use, right? I mean, if you're used to Canva, it's
just like
not,
Canva.
You're not an InDesign designer. If you like Canva, mostly you like it because it's simple, right?
Yep.
And they follow the same suit. They started out as an infographic company, I guess, but now it's like you click on stuff, it gives you color contrast. You can check alt text, write alt text. You can evaluate your entire document for accessibility. I literally was blown away. I know this sounds like an infomercial, but it's really not.
No.
So, if you're listening to this and you're using Canva right now, they're trying. They'll get there. Canva is on a slow road to accessibility. They just made a new LinkedIn post on LinkedIn about how they're actually looking for a new accessibility program manager. But I had some conversations with them, and they are improving what they've got. But they're on a road. They're on a path. Yeah. They'll get there. But if you need content now.
Well, and we really mean it. Go check it out. Like don't take it from us. Like, I know we're talking about it today and we're talking about the product, but check it out for yourself. Like you're going to be surprised. It's really, really quite good. I think they did a great job.
Before we dive into that though, Chad, I really wanted to talk about something you and I discovered. Well, you discovered the other day, right?
Yeah. let's be real. I was remediating a PDF file and I had to change the language for the document, right? So the document was Spanish, right? And as part of my process, I was double checking the language and it was set to English, right? So I needed to change it. And when I was in the properties dialog box, right? So if you if you go into the properties dialog box in Acrobat, which you can get to by pressing Control D or Command D on your keyboard, and you go to the Advanced tab, there's a new section in there. I have no idea, Dax, when they added it, right? Because I
Me
don't know,
neither.
it might have been there for a while, but I never noticed it.
Yeah.
But in the advanced section of the document properties dialog box is a new category called accessibility. And the option in there is called PDF UA compliance.
Right.
And in the drop down menu, you basically have one choice.
Yeah.
Two. One says none, and the other one says PDF UA V1 ISO 14289-1, blah, blah, blah. But it says PDF UA. And basically, if you choose PDF UA, it's adding the PDF UA identifier to the PDF document, right?
It's so much easier to explain to people to go here than to go to pre-flight and open up this and search for the PDF and run the check, save the document out, and then come back and start working again, right? I definitely think somebody at Adobe must have been struggling with this for a bit and said, you know what, there's got to be an easier way. Let's do it.
As you just described that, it jogged my memory of like how complicated it currently is to set the PDF UA identifier, because we get that, of course, we get that question all the time on the PDF accessibility Facebook group, right? People are like, hey, I'm totally passing the checker, but I have one more thing, and that is to add the PDF UA identifier. And the method used to be go to the pre-flight panel, drill down. You have to make sure you choose the exact right options in order to find it. Right, Dax? Like at the very top.
Single fix up, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's really buried in there. But now we're going to be able to tell people, open up document properties, click on the advanced tab, and choose PDF UA. That's all you got to do. Right.
Much easier.
Very, very, way easier than it used to be. So kudos to Adobe for simplifying something that was, traditionally a bit arduous. So good job. Good job.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to Venngage here for a bit, right?
Yeah.
One of the nice things about Venngage is it actually has a color contrast picker inside it. Right. So if I want to look at my document, there's a little accessibility icon up here at the top. I can just click on that accessibility icon and it says accessibility, edit reading order, and simulator. And so under accessibility, I can just click check my design, and it automatically detected, in this example, 8 detected issues: color contrast, text size. It checks for text size. It says I passed. Check for links. It says I passed. Interesting that it checks for text size. It says large text sizes may be easier for viewers with vision impairment to perceive. While there are no official accessibility guide. Oh my gosh, this is so great. This speaks right to my heart, because I expected
did a good job with that, right? Yeah.
I expected it to say you have to have a minimum font size of this and this and this, and I was all prepared to say, nope, that's wrong.
You were ready to jump on them.
I was, but it says while there are no official guidelines for the text size, we recommend using text sizes of at least 16 point. So that's great. It does say that my alternate text needs review. Logical reading order needs review. My headings need to be reviewed. So now when you click on headings, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I actually have not run this checker, but when you click on the headings are used for hierarchy, it notes all the tags in blue on each container. P, title,
Listen,
H1.
I would like that in InDesign.
Agreed.
I would love that, because I just did a document. Well, you and I worked on that document today, Dax. It was a 130 page document, and I had to add, each page had 10 items in it. Right. So that, what is that? 1,300 objects.
Right.
I had to add all of them to the articles panel.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem with the articles panel is like, okay, I could see the order, but I can't see the hierarchy. I
Oh,
don't
that
know
would
what's
be
an
great to have a
H1,
little
what's an H2.
icon.
Oh,
Oh,
that would be fantastic.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like the tags panel, the XML tags panel inside InDesign, how it has the little color coded icons. Imagine if you
Yeah.
could transfer that over to the articles panel. That would be super. But we do have that plugin for InDesign that we made that now highlights the headings based on their H1, H2, H3 in different colors. That's pretty cool. Although we haven't really released that much to anybody, it definitely helps when you're looking at the page trying to figure out what's been set as a, you know, whatever heading level.
Dax, can you customize those colors?
No,
Okay.
it's you have to go into the actual script code to customize what it is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a little bit of a, it's a sticky wicket, as you say. But back to this. So Venngage gives you these blue square tags, clearly labeled, says H1s. Although I don't agree with what the heading levels are on this document here that we're looking at, but it says heading tags follow best practices. It actually gives you some bullet points of things that you should know about your headings. And then if you have them all right, you can just check the box and say, yeah, my headings are good to go. Right?
That's
use
really
of
cool.
use of color, right? Go ahead, Chad.
Ooh.
You can.
No. I mean, you know, the other option is use of color, right? So, and I'm curious, how does it know? So, I
It
mean, it's
just does
basically
color
saying,
contrast. It's using color
oh,
contrast.
okay. So it's basically a color contrast checker. I thought it was going to the extent of somehow knowing when you've used color only,
No.
you know, in the document. That would blow my mind.
Well, it
but
says
yeah,
needs review, and it
yep,
tells you, it gives you a little mini course on what you should be looking for. And it
yeah,
says
yeah.
basically the WCAG principle: distinguishing a visual element, conveying information, indicating an action, or prompting a response. I have that one memorized. So I know it's exactly those words. So good on them for doing that.
For sure. And then images of text. Again, I'm assuming that you just have to kind of like check your document for images of text. But
I got to
yeah,
believe
you
that
know,
too.
we all know that's a concern. Tables. Okay, tables. This is really good. So check table header. So if you click on that table, okay, and then
It doesn't, I'm looking for where it tells you what's a header cell or not. Table headers are appropriately tagged. So if I go into this cell, where is, doesn't tell me what tag it is. Interesting. Well, we'll have to figure
guys
that
are
out.
seeing you guys are
You're seeing it in
us
real
discover
time.
discover this as we're looking at it. Yeah. But it does tell us when a table does not have headers or it wants us to check them. We're trying to figure out how to define those table headers if we want to.
Yeah, it doesn't say, I can't say I can insert a row, but I can't, I don't know. Maybe go to simulator. Nope, that's color. Oh, that's cool. It's got a colorblind simulator right in the document, Chad. Another thing I wish InDesign had.
Oh
Right.
wow! And they're
So
showing a new. So it has deuteranopia, protanopia, tritanopia. But then it has some other ones. They have ac- achroma, achromatopsia.
right.
That's a new one for me.
Yeah.
Achromatopsia.
It's less than 0.5% of the population has no color rods and cones at all.
Interesting.
And they all,
Okay.
so if you want to look at your document in black and white, right, you basically put this in there and then it shows you.
Yeah, everybody. So for your information, achromatopsia is complete color blindness, right? So, you know, no color at all. And then it has one for cataracts, cloudy vision that reduces contrast. Yeah. So,
and this is my favorite, blurry vision.
Oh, low vision.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? So you can actually simulate blurry vision, because here's the thing. Look at that text, right? When you have text that's that light gray color and you have any kind of blurry vision at all, boy, it's really hard to read. You know what I wish is I wish they had a slider here that I could adjust the amount of blurriness, because my favorite plugin, as a matter of fact, I'm going to turn off blurriness and I'm going to open up. This is my favorite plugin. It's called Funkify. And Funkify has a bunch of these simulators. And because I'm in a browser, I can turn on Blurry Bianca, and then I can actually use my slider to adjust the blurriness of how blurry the page is or isn't. So I can simulate certain levels of color of low vision. So pretty cool. They also
Yeah.
have Color Carl, Dyslexia Danny. Watch this one. If I turn on, we're kind of sidebarring here a bit, but look what happens when I turn on Dyslexia Danny to the text in the document. It simulates someone's cognitive disability to be able to read words. For those of you
Wow.
listening, all the letters are kind of scrambling in real time on the document, right? And so you can slow that way down and make it more like how my brain reads. So sometimes I'll swap these letters occasionally. Then we also have Trembling Trevor, which basically makes my mouse move. I'm not moving my mouse at all right now, Chad. Hands are off, but my mouse is moving because it's simulating having tremors, having Parkinson's, or having
Wow.
mobility issues. So for small target sizes, if I needed to click on those little icons underneath this table for the
Yeah.
legend, good luck, right?
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
yeah,
We're way off topic.
I know.
Let's get back
No
to
worries. So anyway,
Venngage.
so all these colorblind simulators and color simulators. I need to turn back off the trembling Trevor. Wow, I was like, what's going on? So then we can go into edit read order, and when we go into, not sure what happened there. Huh.
And this one is a little bit of a little bit confusing. I think you and I discovered, Dax, that it's really the tag order,
Right.
right? The way, so I would probably encourage them to rename that option,
Right.
just because it can create some confusion there. But yeah, it allows you to, it basically gives you a list of every object in your document, and you can simply click and drag them to
Yep.
change the order in which the
Move up the
tags are
order.
going to be output. So
Yeah.
again, I got to
I'd
give you
like big
kudos.
numbers here. That'd be really nice to have big numbers in the legend, and just like the tags, like when they were showing me the tags under accessibility, right? When I was looking at the structure of the document, being able to see the reading order a little bit more clearly, I think would be nice here. So,
But
but
overall,
yeah,
not bad. Really
yeah,
not
no,
bad at all.
not
I
at
mean,
all.
it's a million times better than what I've seen in a lot of products,
Yep.
Like I said, you can tell that when they built this product, accessibility was an important factor in their consideration.
Well, check this out, Chad. So they have a donut chart in this document, and the value for the donut is 72. Then they have two colors. You can pick data set 1 and data set 2. But what's nice is at the bottom of this, it gives you a warning and says low contrast, and it tells you the color contrast ratio. It says it's 1.27 to 1. So then I can come in here and bring that down, and that tells me good contrast and 3 to 1. Now, what it doesn't tell me is that compared to the other color in the bar chart in the donut, that there's not enough contrast between these two. So that's a little bit of a
It's only showing you the current color to its background.
Right?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
definitely when two colors are touching, you want contrast between the two. But still, overall, the fact that you have a color contrast checker at all is really great. You can add labels and alt text, and even tells you some tips for writing alt text. What I really like about this is all of the tool tips that are in it, Chad, because not everybody's an accessibility expert. We don't remember
Yeah.
this stuff all the time. And if you're using Canva or Venngage, you're typically not a technical professional. You are
Yeah.
a creative professional, which is what I call it, where you're doing what you can with the tools you have. And so I don't expect that you're going to know all this. So the fact that all these tooltips are built in is really kind of nice.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see AI built into this, where it could write for bar charts and line graphs and things like that it could actually write the alt text for you based on what's in there. That'd be kind of cool. So Anyway, yeah, that's Vengage. I mean, guys, we're still, they've sponsored this podcast for sure. We're going to have them on in a later episode to talk more about this, but it's something I stumbled across that I really thought was a good tool. It has some really good promise, far better than some of the other tools out there. Canva. And but Canva will get there. I'm not trying to poo poo, but if you're creating accessible content right now and you're concerned about that, and you're starting to choose which platform you want to go with, and you're using Google Docs or Canva or Google Slides, I highly recommend checking out Vengage. And I'm sure they'll be improving this as time goes on. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said, I was really impressed with it. I think their accessibility implementation is fantastic. Like I said, I mean, I was really impressed because you could just tell that they built this with accessibility in mind.
Yeah.
Because everything is implemented really, really well.
And they have a crap ton of templates. I mean, they're as many as Canva does for sure. And they're really great. I mean, some slide templates and document templates and all sorts of stuff. So, QR code maker, maps, you can insert maps into your thing, all sorts of cool stuff. Anyway. All right, that is Vengage. So look for them on a future podcast. We are going to get them on here for sure and talk more about it. And speaking of podcast guests, next podcast next week. Remember we talked about, should I set the reading order in my document, Chad?
Yep.
We have a podcast guest coming on. She has agreed to come on and talk about the struggles of what it's like to have a traumatic dyslexia, where because of brain injury, you have a disability that is very permanent, and how the reading order really affects documents. And so she's agreed to come on and share her story. So we're glad to have her, and we'll tell you who she is and where she's from and all that good stuff when she shows up. I don't want to spill any of the beans.
For sure. Well, and on that same vein, Dax, I wanted to talk about a question that was presented to me today by one of our colleagues, and he had emailed me, and he had said, when you add form tags in your document, how do you position them, right? Like, do you typically put the form tag after the text, like as a standard, or before it? He was asking how I approach that, and I always have to think about this, for a second, but basically when I build a fillable PDF form, I always put the form tag after the text label that it belongs to, right?
Sure.
So if it's just a text field, it'll say like first name, then the first name field, right? That's an easy one, right? Or last name field. But when it comes to like a radio button and a checkbox, we as a, should I say society, or just, we as
culture, the standard culture,
as a culture, right? When we do checkboxes and radio buttons, we always put the button in front of the text, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I do forms, even for checkboxes and radio buttons, I put the form field after the text, because I feel it's a better user experience for the user to read the label of what it belongs to, and then be able to enter the form field and choose whether they want to choose it or not, or move on. And he got back to me and said, that's what I thought, but I have a client who is indignant that the tag order has to match the visual presentation in the form, right? Yeah. And it's exactly what you and I were just talking about, how, we as a society, or as a culture, whatever, checkboxes and radio buttons, we always want to put the radio button before the label. Mm-hmm. And what do you and I always say, Dax? Well, what's the question that we always have people ask?
What is the expected user experience, right? I mean, that is really it. Well, yeah. and what's interesting is this person's point of view, and I think probably maybe adamant was the word you were looking for there, but it could be indignant. He might have been really, really pissed off. But
you're right. Maybe adamant was a better phrase. Sorry.
But the thing is that we talked about this in a couple podcasts ago about cognitive load. We don't physically read radio button low, radio button medium, radio button high. Our brain ignores those and we go low, medium, high. Which one do I want to select? And you just click it. So this
Yeah.
person's opinion that someone is vocally reading, identifying the radio button is incorrect in
Yeah.
probably 90% of the cases. Now, I'm no scientist, and what do I know about statistics, but I got to believe that cognitive behavior is typical amongst most people, and those are things we don't cognitively purposefully voice or read in our head. And
Hmm.
so when you choose to put the label ahead of it, really helps the non-sighted person understand the information that they're getting ready to digest, right? So if I hear low, radio button low, then I now have reinforcement of what's going on, right? Or in a radio button case, it's going to say the label for the radio button. So if it says, um, uh, let's just say risk, right? So it's going to say risk, radio button value low, right? Risk, radio button value medium, risk, radio button. So we need that label in there, right? So having that text tooltip reinforces that same content. So all of it to say, guys, is that when you're thinking about the user experience, realize that there are some elements that are just purely cognitively passed over, not read.
Yeah.
Borderlines in a table would be one of those things, right? We
Hmm.
don't physically go shaded row and then start reading the values,
Yeah. Yeah.
non-shaded row. They're just there as a thing, right? So while I get this person's maybe perspective, I'm not sure I agree with their, but it's all about educating the client, right? Isn't that what
Right.
part of most of our goal, most of our job really is about educating the client and making the client understand a little bit more about what it is to make an accessible document, right?
Right. And I explained to him too that there's nothing in any standard that basically dictates how you're supposed to do this. Right.
Right.
So I wanted to be clear about that. Right. And I was just kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just expressing my opinion. Right.
Yeah.
But my opinion is based on the user experience and what it's like for somebody who's reading. And we should also be clear, right? I mean, I just taught a forms class today, Dax, right?
Mhm.
And so, somebody in the class asked, like, why is it important that we nest the tags within the text the way that I was showing them, right?
Right.
And I explained to them that, you and I cannot control A, what tool a user uses to read this file,
Right.
or B, what method they choose to use to read the file,
Yeah.
right? And so, and that is a WCAG standard, right? Multiple ways,
Yep.
right? So we nest them because the default experience using JAWS and NVDA, not JAWS, right? I misspoke
Yeah.
there. The default experience using NVDA is that it's going to read the tags in the order. And so it's going to read it the way I described: label, form field,
Right.
label, form field. If they switch over to forms mode, it's going to be a different experience, but that is their choice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of gets back to what you were saying, Dax, and I had said this in previous episodes, the helicopter view,
Right.
right? As a sighted user, we have that helicopter view. And when we read those form fields or those radio buttons, we are not drilling down into it. We're kind of scanning over it. And then we're like, oh, that's the one I want to choose. Right.
Right.
And we have that benefit. So
Yeah.
very cool.
Well, and then next week, right? Or this week, actually, we have the Word class, right? So you're doing
Yep.
accessibility for Microsoft Word. So I know this podcast should go out probably Monday or Tuesday, but Thursday is our class for accessibility for Microsoft Word. So definitely go sign up for that class at accessibilityunraveled.com. Our classes, guys, they're $299, but we give you a 75% discount or $75 discount on the classes. So it's like $224-ish. they're definitely worth it. 3 hours of training for less than $100 an hour. And you get to ask questions, you get handouts. There's a manual that goes along with this class, as well as 2 checklists, the accessibility checker, Microsoft accessibility checker walkthrough, and the accessibility checklist for Microsoft Word. Both of those are really powerful handouts that even if you didn't get anything else, they're definitely worth the class. So.
For sure.
And you get to see your smiling face, right?
Yeah.
What better? You get your own private session with the famous Chad Chilius, right?
I know people, when I have people in class, they're like, "Oh, I've been watching your LinkedIn learning course." And I'm like, "I'm sorry you have to listen to my voice for another 3 hours." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But very cool, guys. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I hope you found the episode interesting. And I definitely encourage you to go check out Vengage at VENNGAGE.com. And we want to thank them for being the sponsor on today's podcast. We really appreciate their support. And so my name is Chad Chilius.
And my name is Dax Castro, where each week we unravel accessibility for you.
Thanks, guys.